What's up, everybody? My name is Zach Pasquarello. Today is March 29th, and in this live video, I'm going to talk specifically about how much should I charge for bookkeeping services. I see people ask me this question all the time, and honestly, I had no idea how to do this whenever I got started. So if you can learn how to properly quote and charge your bookkeeping services, you can make so much more money in the beginning. It's so tough whenever you're just getting started because there is no blueprint for how to do that. So hopefully I'm about to give you all the tools you need to quote your bookkeeping services right from the beginning. So whether you don't have any clients or maybe you have 10 clients, this video is going to help you fine-tune your quoting process so that you can learn how much to charge for your bookkeeping services. I have a very exciting announcement to make. First and foremost, I just started doing my live weekly meetings again. So I'm not talking about going live on YouTube. I'm talking about like a Zoom call, personal, like one-on-one in a group setting. So it's like me and 5 or 6 other aspiring bookkeeping business owners or people who already have their bookkeeping business. It's just not quite where they want it to be yet, or they're just getting started. So if you want to join our live weekly meetings, there's a link in the description of this video, and we are meeting every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Think about it like an accountability group. It's 30 minutes every single week, and there's a link in the description to sign up. We already have 6 people who signed up and are going to be in that meeting. Obviously, I'm also going to be there. I'll be leading the meeting. Okay, with that being said, let's just jump right into it. And then if you guys have any questions, this is obviously a live video. So right now we've got like 15 other people watching. This is a live video. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop a question in the chat and I will do my best to answer everybody's questions. So I plan on being live for like maybe an hour, maybe between like 2 and 3. We'll see how many questions start flowing in. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. How much should I charge for bookkeeping services? First and foremost, most importantly, I have to say there's a huge difference between charging hourly and charging a fixed monthly fee. I'm going to talk about charging hourly first because I hate doing it and I strongly recommend that you don't do it. Real quick, just to give you some context, I've been doing this for 4 years. I have 60 clients who I do like monthly recurring bookkeeping for. I have onboarded a lot more clients than that. I've lost some clients in the past. I've gained some clients. Right now, currently have 60 monthly bookkeeping clients, and they pay me on average, I think, $440 per month. So I have some experience doing this, and my plan is, after watching this video, you guys can confidently go into a sales call, get bank statements, get invited to somebody's QuickBooks, and you should be able to quote exactly how much it's going to cost per month for bookkeeping services. Okay, let's get started. Paying hourly. I hate this. I think it's a horrible idea for a couple reasons. Whenever I got started, I was desperate. I was working at Amazon as a warehouse manager. I was making good money. I was probably making close to $100,000 per year, which ended up being, I have no idea, maybe like $30 to $40 per hour. So in my mind, I was like, if I could do bookkeeping and get paid 30 or 40 bucks an hour, that'd be awesome. But it doesn't work like that. There's such a big difference between being an employee and being an independent contractor or being a business owner or being an entrepreneur. Whenever you're an employee, you have benefits. You have paid time off. You have consistency and reliability. You are getting paid 40 hours every single week, no matter what. You have paid time off. You have health insurance. You have so many benefits that come with being an employee. But as an entrepreneur or an independent contractor, we do not have the consistency of 40 hours every single week. So in order to actually make $100,000 a year, you would need to charge much more than just $30 or $40 an hour, thinking I can work 40 billable hours per week. It doesn't work like that. But whenever I got started, I literally took a job. In the first 6 months of starting my bookkeeping business, I took a job getting paid $25 an hour, and I was happy to do it. Looking back on it, what a silly mistake. Obviously, I'm making so much more than 25 bucks an hour right now, but just know that if you are feeling the same way, I felt that way 4 years ago whenever I got started. So you are not alone. I understand how you're feeling right now, especially if you don't have any clients. You're probably like, shoot, I would love to have a client paying me 25 bucks an hour because I have 0 clients paying me $0 an hour right now. But I promise you, it's not worth it for a couple reasons. First of all, if you're working hourly like that, like I felt like an employee, and we are not starting a bookkeeping business so that we could clock in, log our timesheet, send our timesheet to our clients every week or every month or bi-weekly. Like that to me makes me feel like I'm an employee. And I don't want to feel like that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. I want to have the freedom and the flexibility to work when I want and how much I want. I don't want to be chained down to this hourly rate. Also, in order for me to make $1,000 a month, I have to work 40 hours at 25 bucks an hour. But if I have a client who just pays me $1,000 a month, I could work for 2 hours and get the job done, and then I get paid $1,000. So it's such a different mindset. If you're paid hourly, you're almost incentivized to take a long time to get the job done. Versus as a business owner, if we have a fixed monthly rate, then we are incentivized to work efficiently and get the job done as fast as possible. This is especially important for cleanup projects. Like if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I need 2023 cleaned up and done in the next 2 weeks, it'd be hard for me to charge them $5,000 and justify, like even at $50 an hour, what am I going to work 100 hours in 2 weeks to clean up their bookkeeping? So if I'm charging hourly, it's like hard for the business owner to conceptualize, like what am I paying you? $200 an hour? Like nobody wants to pay a bookkeeper $200 an hour. So whenever you're quoting projects, I strongly recommend just don't work hourly. And another reason is that every month your bookkeeping fees might change. And to the business owner, at least for me, like I would almost rather know consistently it's going to be $500 every month for bookkeeping services versus sometimes it's $400, sometimes it's $600, sometimes it's $500. Like to me, then I'm constantly asking, it took you $400. It was $400 last month. Why is it $600 this month? Like, why did it take you an extra 6 hours to do the bookkeeping? Just eliminate all of that unnecessary stress and confusion and questions asked, and just charge a fixed monthly rate. The only time I ever charge an hourly rate is if there is like a one-on-one consultation. Like if a business owner just wants to meet with me for 1 hour, then I'll charge $100 an hour. If I was just getting started, maybe $60 an hour for like a 1 hour meeting. Or if they say like, hey, I just need you to reconcile this one credit card account. I just can't seem to get it reconciled. The bank account's good. I don't need monthly bookkeeping. It's just this one credit card. I would say, sure, okay, fine. It's gonna take 4 hours. So let me charge you $400 for 4 hours and I'll solve this one specific problem for you. That's the only scenario I would ever work hourly. But if you notice what I just said, like I'm still gonna charge them $400 to do that random miscellaneous project. I'm not actually going to charge them hourly. I'm just like saying, yeah, it'll take 4 hours. So here's the invoice for $400. Okay, that's enough about that. Like it doesn't really do us any good to talk about what you shouldn't do, except for now that we have our mindsets appropriately framed. So please, whatever you do, I strongly recommend don't charge hourly. Hopefully we are all on the same page with that. Now, how much do you charge on a fixed monthly basis? Just to put this into context, like 30 minutes ago, I had somebody email me their bank statements and their credit card statements, and within 10 minutes, I was able to get them a quote because I have this down to a science. So that's one of the huge benefits of figuring out how to charge your bookkeeping services correctly. Once you figure out how to do it, it's fast, it's easy, it's repeatable, it's scalable. You can knock it out real quick. Just one quick tip on quoting customers. People want things done quickly. People are most likely talking to multiple bookkeepers at one time. A great way for you to stand out amongst other bookkeepers is to get back to them with a quote quickly. Like imagine if you reach out to 3 plumbers tomorrow and ask for an estimate to replace your toilet in the basement. or downstairs in the bathroom. If somebody responds the same day or the next day with a quote, you are much more likely to just hire that plumber because the other two guys haven't even gotten back to me yet. So like, I don't feel like waiting 2 weeks for an estimate. I'm just going to go with this guy, get the job done quickly, and be done with it. The same concept applies to getting a quote for bookkeeping. So if we can be fast and if we can be calculated and consistent, I seriously think that is huge for landing a client. And I will do whatever I can to increase my chances of landing a client. So let me just give you the magic formula. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free, ask questions in the chat. I will do my best to answer your questions. It doesn't have to specifically be about how to quote or charge bookkeeping services. You can ask me about sales and marketing, bookkeeping, QuickBooks, customer service, anything like that. So all I do during the sales call, all I do is I ask them, are you currently using QuickBooks Online? And if they say yes, I say, is everything connected to the bank feed and up to date? And if they say yes, I say, okay, great. All you need to do is invite me to your QuickBooks, and then I can give you a monthly quote. I give them my email address, they invite me, and then I look through their QuickBooks. And this is the secret. We are in a beautiful position to quote somebody. No other industry can do this. We can literally see two things: how much money they have in their bank account, how much money they made last year in income, and then also how much they were paying their previous bookkeeper. Are you kidding me? That's like golden information whenever you're trying to give somebody a quote. So definitely look at that. Look at their legal and professional fees. Look at their accounting services on their profit and loss and find out how much they were paying their bookkeeper previously. If they don't have a bookkeeper, that's fine. But absolutely look into how much they were paying their bookkeeper previously. That's like a no-brainer. The other thing we can do is look at to see how much money they have in their bank account. If we are going to charge them $5,000 for a 2023 cleanup and we see that they only have $2,000 in their bank account, they're probably not going to accept that quote. More importantly, we probably should not do the work without getting paid up front because they only have $2,000. How are they going to afford to pay us $5,000 when the work is all done? So see how much money they have, see how much money they made, see how much money they spent on bookkeeping services. And then finally, all I do once you're in QuickBooks is I count the transactions. We can do this multiple ways. We can look at the bank feed, and I usually look at the 3 most recent months. So we can go to the bank feed and we can look at the categorized transactions. This only works if they have their bank account and their credit card account already connected to QuickBooks. We can go to the categorized tab in the bank feed and we can filter the date from December 1st through February 29th would give us 3 months, December, January, February. That's 3 months of data, and I will count up all of the transactions. If they don't have everything in their bank feed, that's okay. Go to their chart of accounts, and you can look at their bank accounts and their credit card accounts. Or you can look at their general ledger. There are multiple ways that you can figure out how many transactions they've had in the past. And I like to look at the 3 most recent months just so that we can get an average. I don't like to do just 1 month because you never know. What if it's a really slow month? What if it's a really busy month? It's good to get an average. So look at the 3 most recent months. Unless you're doing a cleanup for 2023, in which case it wouldn't really make sense to look at December, January, and February. If I'm doing a 2023 cleanup, I'm going to look at all 12 months in 2023. So once we know how many transactions they had in the past 3 months, then we find out how many transactions they have on average per month, which is simply taking the total number of transactions in the past 3 months, divide that by 3. That is your average monthly transactions. And I'm counting bank accounts and credit card accounts. Now we know average number of transactions per month. Then we can take that number, and whenever I got started, I was multiplying that by $2. Now I multiply it by 3. So that is literally it. That's the secret formula. Average number of monthly transactions times $3. When I got started, I was desperate. I was young. I was new. I didn't have any experience. So I just wanted to get as many clients as I possibly could. So I was quoting people $2 per transaction. So if they had 300 transactions per month, that would be $600 per month for bookkeeping services. Now I do $3 per transaction because I'm more experienced, I'm busier, I don't need as many clients. I'd rather get higher paying clients. The only exception to that is if they are a real estate investor or some other business, like a general contractor, who wants you to do project tracking and class tracking. If you don't know what that is, basically, whenever we're categorizing a transaction, we identify who did you pay, what did you buy. That's standard bookkeeping. If we're doing class tracking or project tracking, there's a third variable to categorize. Not only are we saying who did you pay, what did you buy, now we are identifying what is the class or what is the project. Think about this. For real estate investors, if they have multiple rental properties, they go to Home Depot, they get job supplies, but it's for 5 Pennsylvania Avenue, or Home Depot job supplies, 5 Main Court, whatever. So you can see if they have class tracking or project tracking, I actually multiply it by 4. So if you have 200 transactions per month and you want me to do class tracking, it's going to be $800 per month. And I know that might sound crazy to some of you. I promise you, if I told myself that 4 years ago, I would say that's crazy. There's no way someone's going to pay me $800 per month to do their bookkeeping. But let me just tell you, I have 60 clients right now, and probably close to 20 of them are paying $600 or more for bookkeeping. So $600 to $1,000 is a very reasonable fee for bookkeeping services. I also have a minimum. And I see a couple questions popping up. So if you guys have questions, keep asking them. I'm going to get through kind of all the details I want to get through, all the information I want, and then I promise I'm going to get to all your questions. And then also, I mentioned this in the beginning, but if you didn't hear, I'm holding live weekly meetings, not on YouTube, but like private, exclusive weekly meetings every Monday at 3 p.m. There's a link in the description of this video. Go ahead and sign up for those. I promise you won't be disappointed. We already have 5 or 6 people who signed up for them. Okay, so the other thing I have is a bare minimum. And it doesn't matter how many transactions you have. So if anybody comes to me and they want bookkeeping, I have a minimum. So I have a minimum of $2,000 for a 1-year cleanup. Even if they started with exception, if they started their business in October, maybe I would do it for $1,000. But like if they started their business in the summer or any time before, minimum $2,000 to do a 1-year cleanup. And then I also have a minimum. I go back and forth all the time. My minimum is somewhere between $200, $250, and $300. If it is a solo entrepreneur, brand new, 1 bank account, that's it. I might go with $200. But as soon as we start incorporating multiple bank accounts, multiple credit card accounts, a partnership, an S corporation, payroll, employees, like as soon as it gets the tiniest bit complicated, I would go straight to $300. Bare minimum monthly fee. It doesn't matter how many transactions they have. $200 is the absolute bare minimum monthly fee. If you are a solo entrepreneur, brand new, just started business in March, and you have 10 transactions per month, I'm charging you $200 per month, no matter what. And if you don't like that as a business owner, then that's okay. Then you can go try and find a different bookkeeper. But I am not helping or working with anybody for less than $200 per month, simply because the amount of time you're going to spend, like just start thinking about this. You have to send them an invoice every month. You have to onboard them. You have to send them a client agreement. You have to log into their QuickBooks every single month. You have to send them an email on the first day of every month saying, hey, please send me your bank statements and credit card statements from last month. You have to send them an email every week with questions like, hey, you wrote this check for $1,000. Who did you pay? What did you buy? You have to answer their phone calls. You have to do so much more than you realize. So $200 is the absolute bare minimum. And I'll tell you, I took a client for $100 in like the first 6 months of my business. I took a client for $100 a month, and it was the worst decision that I ever made. So just trust me. I promise you, you won't regret this. $200 is the bare minimum. And if the business owner doesn't want to pay $200 a month, then one of two things are happening. Either they just feel like bookkeeping's not important enough, which they will quickly learn that bookkeeping is important enough, or they think that their business is so small that they could do it themselves, or their boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife could do the bookkeeping themselves, which might be true for the first 6 months, but eventually it's going to get complicated enough that they're going to have to hire you. So trust me, $200 bare minimum for a solo entrepreneur, $300 bare minimum for a partnership or multiple bank accounts, multiple credit card accounts, payroll, employees, $300 bare minimum no matter what. And $2,000 bare minimum for a whole 12-month cleanup. So that is my recommendation to you. Don't work hourly. Count up the transactions. Okay, so let's talk about this. What if they don't have QuickBooks? What if they do have QuickBooks, but their bank feed is not connected? Their QuickBooks is super out of date. This is what just happened to me 30 minutes ago. Somebody has QuickBooks, but there's no data in QuickBooks. So obviously if they invite me to the QuickBooks, it won't do me any good. So what do you do in this scenario? It's going to take a little bit longer to give this quote, because if they have QuickBooks, it's super simple. As soon as you get the invite, all I do is you can just run the report, and you can export to an Excel, and you can literally just count the transactions. It takes less than 2 minutes. But if they don't have QuickBooks, then it's a little bit more tedious of a process. So I generally email the client and say, hey, Zach, thanks for calling me today. Please send me your 3 most recent business bank statements and business credit card statements so that I can give you an accurate monthly quote for bookkeeping. Notice the terminology I used. I said business bank account, business credit card, just because some people get confused. Not everybody is super fluent in this bookkeeping lingo. So if I tell you, please send me your 3 most recent bank statements, I've had people in the past send me their business checking account and their personal checking account. I don't need your personal checking account. I just need your business bank statements and your business credit card statements. So as soon as we get off the phone, I get their email address while we're on the phone. If I don't have it already, hey, Zach, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. Please send me your 3 most recent bank statements and credit card statements so that I can give you an accurate quote. Now, hopefully they email you back the same day with the bank statements and the credit card statements. If they don't, let me stay focused here. Once you get the bank statements and you get the credit card statements, there is no shortcut, really. It's a little bit tedious. It takes a little bit of time. All you have to do is pull up the bank statements and count. Just count the transactions per month, add them up, divide it by 3, and that is your average monthly transactions. The exact same way you would have done it in QuickBooks, but you don't have the report, you don't have Microsoft Excel. You just got to go through the PDFs and count up the transactions. It takes a little bit more time, but I had a client reach out to me, and they had probably less than 100 transactions per month, probably less than 50 transactions per month. And so I was able to quickly add up all the transactions, and I sent them a quote really, really quickly. So I have a template in my email. I use Gmail, and not Gmail, G Suite. So I don't have a Gmail account. I use Google Suite, and you are able to merge your Gmail with your domain. So Zach@harrisburgbookkeeping.com is my website, and I have an email address through Google. So if you have a Gmail account, it's the exact same format when you look at your email inbox, whatever. So I have templates. And if you have Google Suite or probably any other email, you could probably create templates. I have a bookkeeping quote template. The subject is simply bookkeeping quote, and the words are something along the lines of, you know what? In the interest of time, let me just pull it up. I've got my computer right here in front of me. So I have this template, and at first it wasn't a huge deal. I didn't need the template. I was only sending a quote maybe once a week, once a month in the beginning, so it wasn't a huge deal. And for you, it might not be a big deal right now, but I definitely recommend just come up with a template that you like. If you want, you can copy my template word for word. I'm about to tell you exactly what I said. Okay, so the subject is bookkeeping quote. The words are: based on the size and complexity of your business, your monthly bookkeeping fee will be X dollars per month. Fill that X dollars per month in whatever the quote ends up being, $300 per month. And then I go on to say, my services generally include: categorize your transactions, reconcile your accounts, generate your profit and loss. That's what I've been talking about this whole time for the past 2 years on YouTube and to you guys all. Bookkeeping is a 3-step process: categorize transactions, reconcile accounts, generate financial reports. I'm telling the client that's what I'm going to do. I like to be straightforward. That way there's no miscommunication, no confusion. I'm not running your payroll. I'm not doing your taxes. I'm not depositing your checks at your bank account for you. I'm simply doing those 3 things. And then I go on to elaborate a little bit more. This is kind of like the icing on the cake. This is kind of like why you should hire me. I go on to say this, and feel free to write this down, incorporate this into your bookkeeping quote template. With these services, you will be completely ready to file your taxes at the end of the year. That's a huge win. That's amazing. That's why people want to hire you. You'll be completely ready to file your taxes at the end of the year. I finalize all 3 things every month in the first 10 days. So I'm emphasizing my speed and my timeliness. I'm telling people I'm doing their bookkeeping every single month. In the first 10 days, it'll all be done. So, for example, if you were my client, you would already have your bookkeeping complete through the current month, and you would have a finalized P&L, profit and loss, in your inbox. That's kind of like the icing on the cake. That's like why you should hire me. And then at the very end, I say, this quote is only valid for 10 days. This does 2 things. First, this encourages the client that time is of the essence. They need to get back to me this week or next week, otherwise the quote is invalid. That's kind of the case. That's kind of true. Not really. Most importantly, the reason I say that is because last year, like everybody says, every rule is a rule because at one point somebody broke the rule, and so now we need to have this rule in place. This exact same thing happened last year. In February of 2023, I had somebody reach out to me for bookkeeping services. I sent them a quote. I didn't hear back from them until June. They emailed me again. They're like, hey, Zach, I want to sign up for bookkeeping. And I said, great, let me look at your QuickBooks. I forgot that I emailed them in February. So I sent them a new quote in June. They were like, whoa, you said it was going to be $200 a month. Now you're telling me $350 a month? What happened? You just said $200 a month. And I was like, I forgot that I sent you that original quote. Okay, fine. I will honor that original quote because I did not have anything about your monthly quote expiring in 10 days. So because of that, strongly recommend just throw that in there. This quote is only valid for 10 days. And then wait for them to respond. Now, let me touch on 2 more things, and then I promise you I'm going to get to the questions. 2 things real quick. I want to talk about the tracker that I use to track my warm leads, my active prospects. And then I also want to talk about protecting yourself. This is so important. I am on your side. I am pro bookkeeper. So everything I'm about to say, trust me, I'm saying this so that I can protect you. You need to protect yourself. Don't do any work. Don't do any more work apart from what you've already done. The sales call is going to take 15 minutes. The quote could take 15 minutes. Sending the client agreement, sending the first invoice, all of that could take 15 minutes. We're talking about potentially an hour of work once you have the whole process streamlined, assuming they don't ask you a bunch of questions. An hour of work already, and you haven't gotten paid. So I want you to protect yourself. Do as little work as possible until you get paid. And all you need to do you're going to do sales, you're going to do marketing. Like that's a given. You're going to do marketing every single day. But apart from like after you do the marketing, all I want you to do is do the sales consultation, 10 minutes, maybe 15-minute phone call, send the request for bank statements via email, get the invite to QuickBooks, bank statements, do your thing, count up transactions, send the quote, wait for them to accept the quote. They accept it. That's great. Zach, I want you to start April 1st. That's awesome. I'm going to send you my client agreement, which I use PandaDoc. Strongly recommend PandaDoc. There's a link in the description of this video. You can sign up for PandaDoc. I get like a couple bucks in commission. It's cool. I use PandaDoc. Send them my client agreement. You can also download my client agreement. It's on my website, harrisburgbookkeeping.com/store. If not, you can just use your own. Doesn't matter. Send them my client agreement through PandaDoc. They electronically sign the agreement. And then April 1st, I'm sending you an invoice for $300. And I'm still not doing your bookkeeping. I have not landed that client until they pay that $300 invoice. Let me just tell you, I have gone through that process that I just explained. They said, yes, let's do it with a $3,000 cleanup. And they ghosted me. I never heard from them ever again. So thank God I didn't do any of their bookkeeping because they never talked to me ever again. So like I thought I landed that sale. I sent them the client agreement. I sent them the invoice and they just never paid it. They never signed the agreement, which sucks, but that's going to happen. That actually happens. It happens a couple times. It doesn't happen a ton, but it happens a little bit. It happens enough that I'm telling you, please don't start doing the bookkeeping. Don't do anything else until they pay the invoice. The other thing you could potentially do, and I do this, I help people convert from desktop to online, but I don't do that until they pay their invoice. So I will help you convert the desktop to online. Absolutely. I'm here for you. I'm here to help, but you gotta pay your invoice first and just be upfront, be straightforward. Don't be like, oh, would you mind paying this invoice first? Just be like, hey, I'd love to help you. I'm going to do your bookkeeping. You just got to pay the invoice first. Like, that's just business. The other thing, let me take a sip. The other thing, and then after this, I promise you I'm getting to the questions. This is the last thing I'm going to say. As soon as somebody reaches out to me, whether it's a text message or a phone call or an email or a Facebook DM, I have a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. It's such a simple spreadsheet. It's got like 5 columns. It has email address, first name, last name, phone number, the date that I last contacted them, and then notes, like what happened in your most recent interaction. So anytime I get to any phase of this quoting, onboarding, sales consultation process, whether it's, like I said, a phone call or an email or a text or a Facebook message or a sales consultation or a request for bank statements, or I sent them the quote, or maybe I sent them the client agreement, I'm adding them to my tracker. It's just a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. I don't pay for fancy CRM software. It's just Microsoft Excel. I add everybody to this list, and I don't take them off that list until they pay their invoice. And then I email them every single month. So if you have a sales consultation with me, or if I send you a bookkeeping quote and you don't respond to me, that's okay. I mean, it's not okay. I want you to respond to me because I want you to hire me, but that's okay. I'm going to keep you on my tracker, and then every month I'm going to go through my list. So right now it's March. I'm going to see who did I contact in February, and then I'm just going to simply follow up. I'm going to find your email address. I'm going to go to my G Suite, send you an email. The subject's going to be bookkeeping, and I'm just going to say, hey, Zach, are you still interested in help with your bookkeeping? Hey, Zach, do you still want help with your bookkeeping? Send. Change the date in the Excel spreadsheet in my tracker to March 29th instead of February 28th because I contacted you in February. Now a month later, I'm following up, and I'm going to continue contacting you until you respond to my email and say, hey, no thanks. Hey, not interested. Hey, please stop sending me emails. Totally cool. I'll never talk to you ever again. Or this has actually worked. This is the reason I do it. This is the reason why I talk about it. This has actually got me clients in the past by doing that. Like I literally just onboarded somebody in January because they reached out to me in August. I added them to my tracker. I sent them a quote. I never heard from them ever again, but I followed up with them. We were Facebook friends. I followed up with them in September, October, November, December, January. Then they finally responded to me. And you know why they reached out to me? Because they hired a different bookkeeper in August, somebody cheaper, somebody for $300 a month when I quoted them $800 a month. And then in January, they reached out to me. They responded to my follow-up because their current bookkeeper was doing a bad job. They said, hey, our current bookkeeper is not doing a good job. We want to hire you. And then I quoted them $800 a month and they went with me. They paid me $500 more per month just because their previous bookkeeper was bad. That's all because I followed up with them every single month. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get to the questions. You know what? Before I start, I'm going to go to my Facebook. Yesterday, I posted in my Facebook group and I said something like, I'm going live on Friday. Drop your questions in the comments. And I'm going to go to those questions first. So if you're not in my Facebook group, strongly recommend join my Facebook group. It's in the description of this video. The first question is from Rihanna Clements. What is your response to someone when they say they have an accountant already? I usually just say that's okay. I usually don't say anything. Like if somebody already has an accountant, maybe I would follow up and say, are they doing your bookkeeping? And if they are, that's cool. Like I'm not a pushy salesperson. If they don't have an accountant doing their bookkeeping, then I would ask them if they want help with their bookkeeping. Okay, Francisco Juan Rivera. How often do you get the agreement signed and the invoice paid on the first call with a prospect? Because I hear a lot of bookkeepers complaining about chasing clients to get the information. How often does that happen? Not very often at all. I recently saw somebody post like sales statistics and something like 2% of sales are closed on the first contact. And then it goes up from there, like 4% are closed on the second contact. It was something ridiculous, like 48% of sales are closed on the seventh contact. So keep that in mind. You have to message somebody or call somebody or email somebody or talk with somebody 7 times on average before they're going to hire you. That's why it's so important. Add them to the tracker, reach out to them every single month. Keep it simple. Don't be pushy. Don't be annoying. Be professional. Be polite. Hey, you still want help with bookkeeping? Let me know. Okay, last question on the Facebook group. If a prospect is not willing to switch to QuickBooks right now, do you still follow up with them every month in case they are ready to switch later down the road? So it's usually a yes or no answer right now. Like, are you using QuickBooks Online? No. Do you want to switch to QuickBooks Online? Yes. Great. No? Okay. I usually just say, reach out to me if you're interested, whenever you're interested in switching to QuickBooks Online. I don't usually continue to follow up with them. The majority of people who want to stick to QuickBooks Desktop are usually people who have been in business for a long time. They probably started in the early 2000s and they're probably never going to switch to QuickBooks Online. So it's not really worth your time. Okay, that's the Facebook group. Join it if you want. All right, let's see. Sammy Hassan. Hi, Zach. Are you doing partnerships with bookkeepers? No, not right now. Maybe in the future. Let's see. Greg. Thank you for doing these, Zach. You're welcome. My name has an H. I know it's not a big deal, but it's Z-A-C-H. Not a huge deal. I'm sorry. I'm just getting started. Hopefully, I'll get my first client soon. I'm using your sales and marketing strategy on Facebook. Greg, that's awesome. My social media marketing strategy is so incredibly simple and it's free. If you guys have questions about it, ask specific questions. I love talking about it. I have 60 clients right now. It's actually maybe 58. It's not quite 60, but I love sales and marketing. So if you guys have questions about it, let me know. Thao Lee, how do you respond when potential clients ask about your hourly rate? I don't have an hourly rate. I charge a fixed monthly rate. That's what I would say. However, in my client agreement, I do have an additional services section where I do say my hourly rate is $100 for anything not outlined in the accounting services section of the agreement. So my hourly rate is $100 per hour. Let's see. What's a good answer to the question, why do you need a bookkeeper? If a business owner is really asking me, like, why do I need you? That's not a conversation I want to be having, but I will entertain the question for a second. You need a bookkeeper because here's how this whole process works. You need to file your taxes. In order to file your taxes, you need a profit and loss. In order to get a profit and loss, you need to know how much income you had and how many expenses you had. And more specifically, you need to break down your expenses into the correct categories. That process is bookkeeping. I categorize your transactions. I record your income and record your expenses in the correct categories. So if you want to file your taxes, you need to have financial reports. If you want to have financial reports, you need to have bookkeeping. It's really as simple as that. Let's see. Johnny Voy. Zach, I'm just getting started in Central PA. Is there enough businesses to go around? Ma'am. Well, first of all, we work remotely. So we can service clients all over the country. I've got a client in Illinois, California, Florida, New York, and then like a ton in Pennsylvania, a bunch in Maryland. Yes, there's plenty of clients in the country. I forget, Alex Ramosi said something. I forget how, there's like 50 million, maybe 50,000 small business owners. I forget what the number was, but it's just something crazy. Like, yes, there are absolutely enough fish in the pond. Let's see, Sam McDonald. Have you ever had anyone not allow you into their books for a quote? Could you use the bank statements if that was the case? Yeah, absolutely. I have had some people like, oh, we don't really want to invite you to the QuickBooks. And I say, that's fine. Send me your bank statements. And I used to think that was weird, but I never get pushback on that. And think about it this way. If you ever apply for a mortgage or apply for a loan, you're going to send your loan officer your 3 most recent bank statements and your W-2s and your tax returns. Like, it's just, we are in the finance industry. Like, we need to see these things. So if somebody doesn't want to send you that, I guess that's not going to happen. Just be confident. Be confident that that's not going to happen. And as long as you come across the conversation as confident and competent, you're going to be fine. That's not an issue. And if anybody asks you like, oh, like, does everybody do that? Be like, yeah, everybody sends me their bank statements. I need to see them. And also, especially for a cleanup, to do a cleanup, I'm going to need your bank statements anyway. So like, just as part of the bookkeeping process, like, I'm not going to get started until I see all of your bank statements and all of your credit card statements. I'm going to need them to do the actual bookkeeping anyway. So you're either going to send them to me or you're going to send them to some other bookkeeper. So just like, send them to me, get them digitally organized. That way I can give you a quote. Let's see. Greg, have you ever seen the previous bookkeeping costs per month be less than what your $3 per transactions come out to? How did you handle that? Did you still quote your price even though it was more? I think I already answered your question. So I am almost, and I was just talking to my wife about this yesterday, I am almost specializing in business owners who have crappy bookkeepers. Like, that's about to be my niche. There are a lot of new business owners who have never had a bookkeeper, and they don't value your services yet. They don't understand what it's like to have a bad bookkeeper. Few things are more frustrating than having an incompetent, unorganized bookkeeper. I promise you, this is like a great niche for all of us to be in. If you're brand new, maybe not, but if you're a more experienced bookkeeper, maybe maybe start tailoring your marketing content, speaking to business owners who are unsatisfied with their current bookkeeper. Having an organized, timely, and accurate bookkeeper is quite literally priceless. Like if I had to choose between a bookkeeper who never responded to my emails and is constantly a month late getting me reports versus a bookkeeper who responds instantly or within 24 hours and actually gets me my financial reports like in a timely manner. Like if I'm paying $300 for this, like I'll pay $1,200 for this. Like, are you kidding me? To actually have the job be done correctly. That's why with a brand new business owner, it's kind of hard because they don't know how frustrating it is to not have timely bookkeeping. But like I have had my most bang for my buck from business owners who are having a horrible time with their current bookkeeper. They are willing to pay me anything, and they do. Like I said, the guy was paying his bookkeeper $300. He's paying me $800 to do the same job, but I'm actually going to do a good job. So he values me so much more because he understands the pain of not having it done correctly. So to answer your question, if anybody is ever shopping for a new bookkeeper and you see how much their previous bookkeeper was charging and it's less, just remember why they're shopping for a bookkeeper. Let's see, KCK. How about if they are using a lot of personal credit cards? Does that count to transaction number? There are a few things more frustrating as a bookkeeper than having your client use their personal credit card and their personal checking account. It's like, what do you even do? Like I had somebody reach out to me last week. And like I almost just said like, hey, sorry, bud, like I can't do this because they're using their personal checking account for business. Everything's mixed. It was crazy. I really didn't want to do it. So I quoted a really high price to do their bookkeeping because it would have been a nightmare. It's just so much work to differentiate between personal and business. There's really no easy way to do it. My only suggestion for you would be to take their business checking account and have a sit-down conversation with the client and say, I'm going to assume everything here is business unless you explicitly tell me right now that these transactions are personal. Otherwise, I have no idea. I don't know if you went to Target for job supplies or you went to Target for home bathroom supplies. How am I supposed to know? I try to stay away from clients who mix their business and personal transactions. It gets really, really messy. Luckily, not a lot of people do it. I have not encountered a lot of clients who do it. Most people who do that are new entrepreneurs and are not willing to pay $300 a month for bookkeeping. So they kind of phase themselves out. Hi, Zach. In Facebook groups, I noticed there are spam queries. How to identify the original one. I'm not sure what your question means. I'm sorry. If you could try to ask your question differently, maybe elaborate a little bit more. Johnny Voy, do you mainly get bank access or just ask for the statements once they're onboarded? I don't get bank access too often. Maybe like 30% of the time I get people's bank access. It's not super necessary. The only reason you really want bank access is so that you can download bank statements, so that you can see check images. But a lot like Wells Fargo and a lot of other business checking accounts in the QuickBooks bank feed, you're able to see the check image in the bank feed by clicking on the attachments of each transaction, which is super helpful. But yeah, you would want view-only access to look at bank statements, look at check images. Also, a lot of banks require two-factor authentication. I feel like more so now than ever. So I have a couple clients who, in order to keep their bank feed updated and connected, whenever you click update, they're always asking you to verify your info in the form of a text message to their cell phone or their email address. So if they have two-factor authentication enabled, it becomes really difficult for us as the bookkeeper to keep their bank feed updated unless you have your own username and password, your own view-only access. You can use your username and password to connect that bank feed. Then to verify your info, you receive the text message or you receive the email, which is so much easier because oftentimes business owners are slow to respond when you're requesting codes like that. So it's not required that you give me view-only access to your bank, but it's certainly very helpful. Oh wow, I'm sorry. I do not know how to pronounce your name, but you said amazing insights and I do appreciate your compliment. Let's see, Thao Lee, do you review invoices only when, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off real quick. This is a great segue into additional services. Let me talk about this. This is so huge. Spoiler alert, I'm probably gonna talk about this. I just got excited. I have like 8 more minutes to talk about this. So I just onboarded a new client. They haven't paid yet. They haven't signed the client agreement yet, but their CFO is leaving. This is another beautiful niche to get into. Try to find business owners who are losing their office administrator or their project manager or their director of finance or their CFO. So many business owners use these terms incorrectly. So many business owners refer to their finance person as a CFO, but when in reality, like if you just have one business with 10 employees, like you don't really have a CFO. You just have like somebody managing your finances, which is totally different, but that's fine. So long story short, I have a new construction company who just onboarded me, is in the process of onboarding me. I'm going to take over May 1st, but I'm going to start onboarding April 15th. And they want me to do accounts payable and accounts receivable. Currently, right now, I have 4, maybe 5 other clients who I do this for. I absolutely love this service. I want to start doing more of this, and I want to find more bookkeeping clients who will pay me to do this. And if I were you, if I can encourage you to do anything, try to find clients like this that I'm about to describe. Like you can tell I'm getting excited because this is a gold mine. I have a client right now who pays me $2,500 per month to do this. I have another client who pays me $1,000 per month to do this. Another one pays me $950 per month to do this. And another one pays me $400 per month to do this. There's quite a large spread, but that's because there's a large variety of complexity within these 5 or 6 different clients. What I do, I refer to this as cash management. I manage their cash. Basically, I manage their accounts payable and their accounts receivable. So for accounts receivable, I use QuickBooks to create their invoice. I send their invoice to their customers and I track down unpaid invoices, and you can use QuickBooks to do all of this. It's so super simple, and I usually charge at least an extra $100 per month, if not $200 or $300 per month, depending on the number of invoices they have. And with QuickBooks, you can set up automatic reminders. You can use QuickBooks as a payment processor so the customers can pay the invoices directly through QuickBooks. And you can also set up recurring transactions for invoices if they have a monthly recurring subscription type business. So a lot of the work can be done for you. You just manage the whole process in QuickBooks. It's such an easy way to get an extra $200 or $300 per month. And then the same concept applies a little bit different to accounts payable. This also starts at $100 per month, goes up to $500 per month if they have more complexity. Basically, they send me the bills. I record them in QuickBooks. I run an accounts payable aging detail report every single Wednesday or every single Monday or every single specific day of the week. And then I pay their bills. You can pay bills directly with QuickBooks, or you can use a software like bill.com, or you can just use their business checking account utilizing systems called bill pay, treasury management, or cash management, which is where I got the term for this service. This is a great way that you can replace office managers. You can replace finance directors or CFOs or office managers. By offering these services, we can do the bookkeeping and the accounts payable and the accounts receivable. So this is just a great way that you could like really squeeze, you could provide a lot of extra value to these clients. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. I've got 4 more minutes left. I know I went off on a tangent, but that's kind of applicable to how much should I charge for bookkeeping services. Like that's something new-ish that I'm doing, but I'm trying to do more of it. So to finish the story, I'm onboarding a new construction company, at the end of April, and they're paying me like $2,500 per month to replace their CFO. So it's a win-win because they were probably paying their CFO like $4,000 or $5,000 per month. I'm about to do everything that he was doing for only $2,500 per month, but I'm going to do it way faster. I'm way more efficient because I'm a bookkeeping expert and a QuickBooks expert. So I'll be able to do whatever he was doing way faster for way cheaper. Okay. Let's see. Do you review invoices during bookkeeping or just based off the bank feed at the minimum price? So no. If you don't want me to manage your accounts receivable and accounts payable, I just look at your cash transactions and your credit card transactions. By using the $2 or $3 per transaction, you kind of account for all the additional complexities. Like, don't worry about journal entries or invoices or accounts payable. Like, it'll all work itself out. And if it doesn't, this is kind of a good place to end. If your quote doesn't work, it's flexible. I don't lock people into a long-term contract. I don't guarantee the price for 12 months. I don't force them to stay with me for 12 months. I am able to change the price. I have never gone down, but I could go up. And that usually just happens naturally. Like if somebody onboards you in the very beginning of their business is naturally going to get more complex. It's just going to happen. Like it's just natural. So if their business gets more complex, your bookkeeping job gets more complex. And that means that it's going to cost more money to do their bookkeeping. So let's see. Broly B, used your quoting system to lock in a $700 a month client. Thank you. Broly, that's awesome. I'm proud of you. That's amazing. Zach, I have a few questions. How to get started without registering from USA? Okay, so I gotta say this every single time. You guys make me feel bad. I've never had a bookkeeping business, not in the USA, and I've never serviced clients outside of my own country. So for everybody who doesn't do bookkeeping for clients in their own country, I can't give you help because I don't have experience doing that. Let's see. Joselle, hi, you've talked before about not doing any work until you've gotten paid. How do you ensure your clients pay you on time? Do you invoice them? What are your terms of payment? All my invoices are due on receipt, and I am pretty thorough with tracking down accounts receivable. So if you're a brand new client, I'm not working with you until you pay your first invoice. If you're a recurring client, I will work with you throughout the month. So let's say March 1st, you paid your first invoice, whatever. April 1st, I'm going to continue doing your bookkeeping, assuming you're going to pay. But this has happened before. You don't pay your invoice in April. Whatever happens, happens. I did your bookkeeping in April. I'll give you until April, the end of April to pay. And if you don't pay in April, I'm going to stop doing your bookkeeping until you pay your April invoice and your May invoice. So like at the very worst, I'm only ever getting burnt for 1 month of bookkeeping. This has happened like one time. Like in December, I did bookkeeping all of December. They never paid their December invoice. I reached out to them multiple times. They ghosted me. They never responded to me. And I lost that client. They didn't pay their December invoice. Whatever, chalked it up as a loss. I lost that client, lost that December invoice. That happens very rarely. Sometimes if you don't pay your invoice by the 15th of the month, I'm emailing you, reminder, please pay your invoice ASAP. If you don't pay the invoice by the 20th of the month, I'm texting you. If you don't respond to the text, the next day, I'm probably calling you. So I'm very thorough following up with open, outstanding invoices. We got time for one more question. Oh, I know this is off topic, but happy Easter weekend. MB, happy Easter to all of you. Speaking from experience, be wary of cash management. I've had to do this for businesses that don't have the funds and it becomes a pain. If there's money, it's easy. Yeah, I don't really manage cash flow. I just pay people's bills. So obviously you want to check the bank account to make sure that they have money in the bank before they pay bills. That's good to keep in mind. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining my live video. We got a weekly meeting starting Monday at 3 p.m., which means I'm not going to be going live on YouTube on Monday. I'll be in my weekly meeting. Join that. I promise you, you're going to get so much value out of it. The link is in the description to join that. Check out the free mini course. Join my Facebook. I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. I will talk to you all later.